You're live. Okay, thank you. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from today. My name is Ayola Iwayemi, and I have with me Dr. Odiri Ajapovi, and we'll be touching on a topic that I've received different questions from different people around the world about. And before I do that, I'll quickly do a short introduction about Dr. Odiri. And I would say that Dr. Odiri's career spans about three different continents where he's shaping his deep understanding of how people and system evolve together. I would say that from Africa, from Europe, and Canada, he has led change initiatives that turn strategies into human centered action. A trusted change management expert and a career coach, Dr. Odiri has helped organizations and individuals navigate transitions with clarity and purpose. His work blends empathy with strategy, creating environments where people grow, where people can adapt, and where people can find meaning in whatever they do, either as a career person or as a business leader. Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Odiri. And it's a great privilege to have you on this session today. And I believe that we are going to be having a great time today. Okay, I'll start with this. Okay, so I know you are an human resource professional, you are a change management person, you are also a career coach. And I'm going to ask a simple question. If you are not doing all this, what other things do you think you will be doing if you're not doing this as a profession? What will you be doing?
I would actually be a grief and bereavement counselor.
Okay, thank you so much. That's still relating to about coaching. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll dive into our questions, and I'll say that I believe that we'll be able to give um, insight to people today. My first question is going to be, so as an individual, when it comes to owning your career journey, what does owning your career journey mean to you in a real day-to-day sense rather than just a busy professional? Because I have seen people sometimes they are busy, but still maybe they are in the wrong career. So for you, what would you say is the in a real and day-to-day sense rather than being a busy professional to say you are owning your career?
Thank you very much for that question. For me, I have always been a proponent of you being involved in something you're passionate about. So, owning your career is you doing something that you're passionate about. And if you are not gaining that satisfaction in what you're doing, then it is time for you to reevaluate if you're actually
Mm.
doing what you want to do. And we are in a world and time whereby there's so many things that are changing, and it is the world is so VUCA in the sense that there's so many uncertainties, and
Mm-hmm.
people will tell you that oh, this your career that or whatever you're pursuing is not the work of the future. Many people are running into tech, many people are running into cybersecurity and all of that, but at the end of the day, is that what you really want to do? Do you really have the passion for it, or is it because of where the world is running or going? Sometimes for me as a HR professional, you can actually blend different professions within one profession, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can understand that the world is actually changing, and as a result of that, we need to continue to upskill. For you to own your career, you need to change. You need to
Mm-hmm.
upskill within your profession and to gain relevant skill. You cannot be in your own shell and expect your career to excel. So upskilling is one, and also doing what you're passionate about.
Okay, thank you so much for that simple and straightforward answer. And that will take me to my next question. So, which is, how can professional recognize the subtle sign that they are no longer growing in their current role or environment?
So, I would thank you again for that question. I would say that growth can either be vertical or horizontal,
Horizontal.
right? So,
Mm-hmm.
there's a point in your career, there's always a point in your career whereby you can see yourself growing in a vertical point or in a horizontal line. And I want to also say that I want to use the cone analogy, right? The cone analogy is that it is usually more broader in the base, and as it goes up, it steeps, right? So when you're going up
Mm-hmm.
in your career, you find out that you have limited space for you up there, right?
Yes,
Then
yes,
what?
please.
Yeah, you can start to reevaluate and start thinking, what other skill can I get in order for me to broaden myself within that base, not just going to the
Mm-hmm.
steep. Not everyone is going to be a chief human resource officer. Not everyone is going to be a director or chief people officer and all of that, because
Mm-hmm.
it is meant for just some set of people, in the sense that in an organization you would see maybe, for example, five HR managers or HR directors but one chief human resource person.
Mm-hmm.
That goes to show that if I'm a HR manager in, let me take for example, if I'm a HR manager specializing in recruitment and talent acquisition, what other role can I actually see myself fitting in the same base, right?
Mm.
Can I move into something like labor relations? Can I move into something different within organizational development and all of that? And you are doing all of these, also preparing you for an opportunity if a higher position or a higher role or
Mm-hmm.
responsibility comes up, because you're beginning to arm yourself with different skills within your own peer level. So you can grow laterally and you can grow vertically. It depends on how you want to do it. But again, it goes back to gaining those skills. You shouldn't just because you're focused. For example, currently I lead talent acquisition within my organization. And because I lead that function doesn't mean that I should just focus on
Hmm.
talent acquisition and retention, but I also need to gain skills in other area so that when that opportunity
Hmm.
comes out, I would be able to, jump on it and, harness it.
Oh, fantastic. So I'm going to probably take you back a step back. And the reason why I'm going to ask this question is because I know I've received this from um, different people, especially when they are in their early careers. Maybe they are done with school, they are now a graduate, and they are moving into the work workplace environment. So for someone like that in their early careers, what practical steps can they take right now to start owning their career journey?
I'm a proponent, I'm a voracious learner. So I would say learn everything and anything, because
Yeah.
as you go, you will begin to start picking and choosing where you want to
Be.
focus on in your career. Some might be a generalist, some might be a specialist, a specialize in different areas. But when you're just starting your career, you just need to learn everything, right? And I remember one of my mentor then when I started, and what she told me was, "You're very smart, but do not limit yourself to just analytics and all of that. You need to gain the soft skill, you need to gain the hard skill, you need to gain these, and all of that." At first, I thought it was too much for me because
Mm.
I really don't care. Let me use that word, but I listened and I was able to learn those different skills that my mentor was telling me to learn. I continued in that part and it opened a lot of opportunities for me, right? And another thing
Mm-hmm.
that you need to do is to network intentionally, not just having people sitting within your network and not, providing meaningful conversations, right? So you need to be able to absorb, learn, and also give meaningful conversations when the time arises. So my take on that is for you to be able to learn as much as you can when you are beginning your career, and look at the job market. Is it a job market where you must gain a certification for you to get a specific role? Then if that is the case, try as much as possible to gain the experience and also go ahead and write the certification for you to be able to get some roles. Because I have got to understand that even within an organization, when the promotion comes in, a little thing as you having a different certification can give you an
Yeah.
edge if they notice two people are par. So those are the little things. And another thing is, before let's say 10 years ago, the only thing that we could actually use to search on how the trends are it's going in the world is Google. But now
Mm-hmm.
we have different AI
Different
tools,
things. Yeah.
GPT, Gemini, and all of that that can actually pull resources that you don't have to spend like hours and all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can use those AI tools, tell them about yourself, like, this is me, this is where I want to be in the next 5 years, create a timeline for me, what skills do I need to gain, and all of that. And ChatGPT or Copilot is really good in that. They would help you to create those type of plan, that you start tweaking it and seeing yourself in those areas, and try to, what I do earlier on, what I started doing, and this was also for my mentor, was to create a yearly goal for myself.
Yeah.
And every quarter I tick it. Hey, I achieved this tick, I achieved this tick. And those goals need to be smart. At the end of Q1, I want to learn XYZ skill.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, for me too, before I drop off this question, is humility is key. Learn from everybody, up, down, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case may be. I will give you a very good example. I think this was sometime in the past. The person that was reporting to me was so good in Excel, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he knew the basics of Excel. For me, Excel wasn't working for me. I was working for Excel in the sense that I was manually doing stuff and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really humble to the point whereby I had to take my chair, go sit with this folk, and he taught me most of the things I knew now in Excel. This is someone that was reporting to me. So what I'm saying is, be humble. Humility is
Mm.
key. Do not take that for granted.
Thank you. That was very profound. Humility is key, and people should be able to be open to learn. And I think you said something which I'm going to corroborate. It says that I think when I studied communication, by the way, and there's this common statement that we usually say uh, that says that you must learn something about everything and everything about something. So regardless of your profession, regardless of your career, you just need to be able to understand, be open to learning, and be able to understand. Sorry, you might not even understand why you are learning that in at that particular moment, but you have the knowledge. So it gets to a time where you'll be needing that maybe in the next 2, 3 years. But if you don't know about it, if you don't have competence or knowledge about it, it becomes a challenge. And I think I can say that it's always easier when people feel like, oh, these guys report to me. There's no point. There's nothing I can learn from them, which is totally wrong. And I will always say that that's part of being humble enough, or I will use the word to stoop low to be able to learn from the person that report to you does not take anything away from you because it's part of influence that you have already put in that person to see that regardless of your position, you can learn anything. Thank you so much for that. And
Thank you.
I would just want to stretch this question by asking this. You have said a lot of things that people need to do for them to be able to own their career. So the other part of this is I know this is like a personal experience you're sharing, but one thing is, what are the common mistakes that you have seen or that you made that you learned from that is going to affect people owning their career? So, can you mention one or two things I won't call it mistake. I would say challenges when you are trying to own your career. What are the challenges that you learned from? Yes, that's the right word. What are the challenges you learned from when you are trying to own your career that the challenges you learned from and makes you a better person? If you can share one or two, that would be very profound.
Um, okay, so that's a difficult question. Um, I might okay. So one thing is it's patience, right?
Mm,
Some people are quick to make decisions or jump into conclusions, not just making decisions. Yeah, some people are quick to jumping into conclusions and saying that this is not for me and this is not for me. I
mm,
don't think this is for me, but without actually being patient enough to be able to live it through, right? And sometimes what can actually affect some people. Okay, I'll give you a very good example. I was
please
working in
do.
I was working in an organization, and although we had a manager who wasn't too, I would say, for lack of better word, who wasn't too supportive, right, and all of that, I was quick to make a decision that this organization is not for me, right,
Mm,
and I took a leap, and it was a bad choice, even though leaving the organization was good, right? But sometimes we need to also reevaluate where we are going to, right? So I left the organization and I joined another organization, and it was the worst.
mm.
And I stayed there for just 1 month, and I was like, I maybe I shouldn't have left. Maybe I should have waited a little bit and just reevaluate some decisions that I made. So what I'm driving at is sometimes we might want to leave an organization because of some internal unsupportive, or the culture is not so right for us. It is totally fine for us for one to leave. But
Mhm,
at the end of the day, we also, when we want to make a decision on where we are going to, we also need to be careful that we are not moving
mm,
from a current situation to a worse one. Then I did
mm,
not make that evaluation. I just wanted to leave. My impulse was, you need to go, and that wasn't the right choice for me. I was able to bounce back after a few months, but it's not the case for everyone. So
yeah.
leaving an organization because the culture is not fine for you, it is totally fine. Don't get me wrong, but where you are going to, you also need to ask questions. I did not ask questions. If I had asked questions, that would have been much more better. So when you're making a decision, you need to be able to, dot all the I's and cross all the T's, even if you are not able to cross all of them, but at least to a large extent. It is not all about the pay sometimes. It is about your peace of mind. Sometimes the pay might be nice because where I left to, the pay was okay, but it was worse than where I was coming from. So sometimes
Wow.
what I'm saying is just be patient and do your due diligence when you are trying to own your journey and own
Mm,
everything about it. Do your due diligence. Be patient about that. That patience can take you maybe like
mm,
3 or 4 months, and do not do everything solely. I made that
mm,
rash decision. I didn't speak to my mentor. I didn't speak to any senior colleagues or people that I call my friends. I just like, I'm done. I need to go. Yes, I needed to go. But sometimes when we speak to one or two other people, they play the devil's advocate, and you got to realize that, is this decision really the wise choice for me to make at this
this
time?
time.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you shouldn't make the decision, but is this the particular time that you need to make that
It's,
decision, right? So
mm,
sometimes you just need to get some allies that you can bounce ideas off, try to get their own ideas and tell them to be straight with you. And that's what I have been doing since, and it has helped me so far.
fantastic. So it's like you pick it from my mind because my next question is going to be relating to mentors. So because we can't overemphasize the power of mentors on the place of mentors in any as an individual. So because mentors most of the time have seen or been to where we are going, and it makes it easier. So they can shorten the number of years that they spent on achieving what they achieve when you have the right mentor. So it takes me to the next question, which is how do you identify the right mentors, and what does a healthy mentor-mentee relationship looks like when you are trying to own your career?
Um, some people usually um, they they mistake mentors for being a coach and also a
Mm-hmm,
manager or
mm-hmm,
a director, right? So a mentor doesn't necessarily need to be someone who has 100 or 1 million years of experience or who is older.
very correct.
It can even be someone who is much more younger. That's what we call reverse mentoring. So
Mm-hmm,
you look at who you want to become, what you want to achieve,
mm-hmm,
what skill you want to gain. And I have been able to select different mentors in each different area. Some has been because of their leadership stance, some has been because of their technical skill, not that they are one director or one CEO or stuff like that, but just because of a skill and a quality that they portray, that I feel that this is really amazing, right? And what are some of the things that I want to build? Those are some of the things that I look for when I am gaining when I'm looking for a mentor. And some of my mentors have become we become friends and we bounce ideas, back and forth. And speaking about having someone who even have less experience than you, I have two folks who are really really young who I call my mentors, and they've taught me a lot of things that I don't even know that I can do, most especially in the technical side, using of social media and all of that. So there's so many things that you can actually learn. We call it reverse mentoring. So you just need to understand what skill, what personality you are wanting to build for yourself. Then look at who is within your circle and even outside your circle, and reach out and let them know that, hey, I want you to be my mentor, and this is the reason why I want that. This is the skill that I'm wanting to build. And as a mentee, you would be the one to actually push, because people are busy. They go around their life, their busy schedule. As a mentee, you're the one looking for something. You'll be the one to push. And at the end of the day, depending on whoever the person is, and you'll find out that your relationship is so awesome. I have a mentor right now that we communicate probably once in 6 months, but when we have that
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
conversation, it is meaningful. And I have another one that we communicate almost every week, and so it just depends on their schedule and what you like. Ultimately, it just depends on what you want to gain.
Thank you for that clarification about mentors and coaches. I know that I think I was talking to a set of youth, and I told them, I said, when you are trying to pick a mentor, don't only look for the good side. Don't just say, oh, this person is perfect, and no one is perfect. So just when you see one, two, three things that you want to become, that you like in them, nothing stops you from approaching them. And for you to be able to have that time, and for you to be able to make it or say, this is my mentor, is that time of communication, either in person, virtual, but you have access. Not just you like them, you like what they do. And the moment you see one thing about them that you don't like, you let them go. No. So you'll pick mentors based on your need. And I know I have several mentors. We have, like you said, we have reverse mentors, we have peer mentors, and we have mentors that are way ahead of you in career and be able to learn from. But the most critical part is mentors will only ask you questions and answer you based on what you see, you ask them, and you leverage on whatever advice, because the advice they are going to give is based on the things they have seen or they have experienced. So they can't give more than what they have. So that is the reason why you might not need only or have only one mentor. You might have to explore. And I wouldn't say you have several mentors, because we have several mentors for the same issues. Sometimes the mentee might be very confused,
Yeah.
because you won't be able to decide, because this person will speak based on their experience. And I can say that most of the time, as an individual, we always know what is right, but we're just looking for somebody to be able to check and be able to give us that go ahead. And mentors, most of the time, will not give you the go ahead. They will just tell you black is black, blue is blue. It's not royal blue. It's not light blue. It's not sky blue. They will just tell you blue is blue, except you yourself are not allowing them to give you what it takes for them to be able to respond to you the way. And one thing I have done with my mentees, I'll ask them, do you want me to be sincere? And you want me to be straightforward? Say yes. I should give you the feedback without minusing what? Yes. I'll say to you, this is this, this is what I think, or this is what I have done that works. And let me also say that that doesn't mean sometimes whatever they share with the mentees, most sometimes might not work for you, because remember, our career journeys are different. So you need to also decipher when you need to be able to make a critical decision, regardless of all the advices that you have listened to, when you are at the crossroad, because you will be in the best position to be able to understand what is going on and how to go about it. I'll pause there and move this to the next question. I know that sometimes it's difficult when people um, going through tough time when it comes to career is difficult. But one thing I'm going to ask is, what role does emotional resilience play in shaping and sustaining career ownership during tough time? Based on your experience, I know you have a lot of experience. If you can share, I will appreciate.
It is never easy. I won't try to, mix words here. It is never easy when you are facing turbulent time, irrespective, professionally, personally, and all of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Depression is real, and it can actually mess with your thinking, your mental health, and all of that. So it is not easy. And what I would say is everyone needs to check in on themselves, right? Check in
mm-hmm,
on yourself, try to understand what is actually happening. You know, you can't give what you don't have. So before you are
very
able
true.
to help others or assist others, you need to be able to assist yourself first, right?
Mm-hmm,
Do not um, isolate yourself, and reach out. Don't be shy.
mm-hmm,
Remember, this was not so. This was a long time ago. I told you that earlier in our conversation that after 1 month I had to leave that organization, and I wasn't doing anything. And right now, at that point, I was really, really in a downtime. Right. So what I did was to reach out to my networks, reach out to friends, and let them know that I wasn't hiding anything. Like, hey, I'm out of the job, this is what happened, this is what happened in XYZ, this is, my competencies and all of that. I got referrals, and even during that time I was still careful about which organization I need to join or what to do, because I do
mm-hmm.
not want to start that cycle over and over again.
Yeah.
And fortunately for me, within few months I was able to get something. But anyways, what I'm trying to say or what I'm saying is, do not do it in isolation. Reach out to people, right? Do not just, lay down in your room and cry. You might even think that you're actually good at, creating your resumes, but because you are in it, you will not be seeing some
Yeah, that's true.
mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
can also reach out to professionals, reach out to your network that, hey, I'm about to apply to this job. This is the resume I have prepared for this role. Please review it. I did that several times, and my one of my friends, the first time I reached out, was like, "You've been the one reviewing my resume." How come? Like, no, I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
This is close to me, so there's a possibility
Mm-hmm.
that I'm missing something. And really, went through it and found out that I was actually missing something in the resume and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. So, like I said, don't stay in isolation. Just reach out to your network and check in. And depending on whichever country that you are living in, try to make contact with um, you know professionals that you can actually check in with your mental health and ensure that you are in the right state of mind.
Yeah, it's very profound. So I know that I can tell you for free that for every time that I check my inbox on LinkedIn, I usually see people asking questions. And I've also seen, I discovered that sometimes people are dealing with mental health, sometimes unknown to them. So you can't just live in silo and you can't be a lone ranger. So reaching out to people has two options. If you genuinely ask people, oh, you are not asking them for anything than to say, oh, I need your help in this. I know you are busy. Is it possible? I know the number of times I've reviewed people's resume or CV, depending on where you are in the world, is a question. And some, when I see the inbox, in my inbox, I don't even respond. I just pick up the resume, do it, and send back. Because sometimes you never can say they will say no or yes if you don't try. The worst thing you can get is the other second part, which is no. And I know that sometimes people will not tell you no bluntly. Is it that they are busy, they didn't see, they didn't respond because you genuinely ask for help? And I've also seen if you belong to a different network of professionals, nothing stops you. Have seen people who say, oh, who is an HR person in this group? Please, I need your help. I need a referral. I need this. And people start saying, oh, drop the message on the group. People will be able to get back to you on this because if you don't ask, you might not be able to receive. And I would say that was what we call leveraging on relationships. Build and nurture good relationships. Thank you so much, Dr. Odire, for that profound answer. And that takes me to this, which is what's an underrated and often overlooked skills that you believe people should start developing early in their career?
Emotional intelligence and communication skills.
Period.
Um, I would also add cultural intelligence. So, cultural intelligence, emotional intelligence, and communication skills. I would explain. Emotional intelligence is different from cultural intelligence in the sense that emotional intelligence, you're dealing with the emotions of how people react to things. Why cultural intelligence is depending on where you live in the world and how diverse your team is, you need to be able to be aware of different cultures, right?
Mm,
And sometimes there are some things that I have been have the opportunity to work in different countries, and some things are new to me. And what I do is when I hear something new or that is not is not my culture, I keep a straight face. I don't react. You won't see any
mm,
reaction and all of that. I keep a straight face. I don't know about it. It's not my culture. I just keep a straight face. And sometimes there's some people culture are different from where you're coming from where you've lived in. So you need to be able to understand the culture of the people you're working with, the people you are living with, and be able to translate that into your own emotional intelligence. And how does communication comes in? Is you being able to ask questions, not just questions, but questions to show that you really care about understanding a topic or understanding a scenario. And you also being able to, um, you also being able to justify or make justification of why or why not you're doing something. I was actually speaking to one of my mentees yesterday, and I was telling them to, recommending something for them to try out, and they were like, no, it's not something, it feels weird. And my next question is, what do you mean by weird? It said it feels somehow. I said, yeah, I know that it's somehow that's weird, but in this context, what are you trying to say? So what I'm driving at is, we had a conversation later, is when you are not comfortable with something, or when you are comfortable with something, you don't just give me a one liner, right? Because when I mean one liner can actually answer some questions, but you need to be able
Mm-hmm.
to express yourself,
Mm-hmm.
give that justification of XYZ. This is the reason, this is the reason, this is the reason, because it's just like you answering interview question using the star method, the situation, the um I, I think I've forgotten that. The
It's okay.
situation, the task, the action, and the result. So you need to be able to express yourself and give that justification, and use examples to be able to show that you understand what you're talking about, right? So if you don't know it, ask questions, be genuine about
Mm-hmm.
asking questions. Some
Mm-hmm.
people, they normally just gloss over things. No, it's not good. If you don't know it, ask questions. Be
Mm-hmm.
culturally intelligent, and also be emotionally intelligent. Those are the three major things I would say. The technical skills are really good, but your communication skill will open doors for you. You can actually know how to do things, but if you can't communicate it, nobody
Yeah.
will know.
That's true. That very, very, very true, and that's awesome. Okay, thank you so much for that. So this will take me to these three things: strategy, people, and process. So when it comes to career as an individual, so what is the place of strategy? What is the place of people? And what's the place of process?
So the short answer to that is for you to plan your strategy, know the right people, and what process for you to be able to get there. Right? So let me just give you um a very simple example. Let's say you need to get a contract, right? What strategy are you going to use to get that contract? And sometimes, depending on who you know, who is in your network, that is how you are going to get that referral.
Yeah,
And even when you get the referral, there's still a
that's true.
process that you need to
Yes, please.
follow, because you need to fill out your application, you need to submit your RFQ, and all of that. So you need to be able to understand where each and every one of these comes in, right? You can actually have a strategy for you to, in the next 3 years, you want to gain XYZ skill. But without having the right referral within your team to push you towards how to get those skills, you would not be able to get it. And you having the process is you also, finding that time to go through it systematically. I would always tell people that some people would say you need to climb the ladder, and I would tell them, yeah, why would I use the ladder if I have an elevator and stuff
Why not?
like
Why
that?
not?
So if you know the right people, you can actually keep using the ladder. You can actually use an elevator, or the stairs might not even be your pathway. So
Mm-hmm.
your strategy can actually be something that can help you in your life. But when you have a strategy, stick to it. All you just need to do is to tweak it in order for it to align with what you want to
Mm,
achieve.
very true. Tweak it. So be explore. Be open to innovation about your strategy, not to be rigid. Be flexible because one thing that I've discovered based on the experience and the things I've learned from different people are very vital. Like I also say that people are very strategic when it comes to your career journey. So if you have the right people, is possible you are very fast or faster than others. And because you have the strategy at hand, you have the right people, most of the time going through the process might be easier or faster. You can even skip a process. In this context, when it comes to promotion, sometimes it's not about um, sometimes the right process. So promotion comes from not only that you know how to do the job, it comes with that. I've seen people that does not have leadership skills or better leadership styles. They didn't get the job based on that, but they are good on the job. But most importantly is that leading people can be very difficult, even if you don't know the job. But you have good emotional intelligence, you are very talented, you know how to manage people, you can relate to people easily, you have a good communication skills, like you mentioned. It's easier for those people that you are leading to do the job right, and you present it to the management based on the fact that you know what to do. You can manage people better, because if you know your job but you lack people's skills, most of the time it's a difficult thing to do. It's difficult, but you will be able to get to where you're supposed to. So understand your strategy, leverage on the right people, and follow the process. But sometimes tweak the process. And that's the reason why we have process. It's not meant to be rigid. It can be flexible. So be open to opportunities, be open and be ready to explore. And that makes it easier. And there is a speed in whatever you do in your career. Thank you. And that takes me to the next question. I know we have been asking a lot of questions. I still ask this. So, what does reinvention looks like for someone mid-career who wants a fresh start but isn't sure where to begin?
I would say that we tend to reinvent ourselves every day because, like I mentioned initially, we live in a VUCA world, whereby the world is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And
Because,
at
yeah.
the end of the day, if you don't reinvent yourself on a regular basis, you will find yourself lagging behind, and find that your skills are obsolete and all of that. Reinvention can go in different space and space, in the sense that you might want to probably change careers from what you're doing right now to maybe go into something different because your your interest has changed. Reinvention doesn't have to match with your age. You can actually reinvent yourself at any point in time, no matter, even if you're in your 40s or in your 50s and all of that. All you need to do is to have that humility and that patience for you to be able to learn what you want to reinvent into,
Hmm.
right? So let's say, for
It's
example,
true.
I usually give this example: someone wanting to stop or reinvent themselves in terms of changing career from finance into cybersecurity and all of that. You don't need to start thinking that, hey, I'm already in my 40s. How long is it going to take me for me to be able to do this? Ask yourself, the question is, why do I need to do this? Understand your
Mm-hmm.
why,
Mm-hmm.
first of all. If you
That's
understand
true.
your why, is it for a better opportunity? Is it for a better high paying job? Then when you understand your why, let that be your driving force for you to be able to
Mm.
go ahead and reinvent yourself. So if you really need to reinvent, if you really need to change career, for example, understand, why do I need to change career, right? Bounce the ideas about from with one or two people that you call mentors or coach or friends that you know that can actually not just agree with you but also make you think. Let them help you to understand that why. Then if you get to that point whereby you now understand this is the reason why I need to change, then let that be the driving force for you in the next couple of months or the next couple of years for you to be able to achieve it. It's never too late for anyone to learn a new skill. It is never too late for anyone to change a career. It is never too late for anyone to do anything that they want to do.
Okay. Thank you so much. I won't say anything to this because I'm going to pick up like a follow-up question to this. So this is when evaluating a new opportunities, what questions should someone ask to figure out if it truly aligns with their purpose and a long-term vision? So I know because you mentioned in the previous questions, you spoke to about when you left an organization without asking questions, which I think that's why I'm asking this for that question, to be able to help people that might be in this situation at the moment. So, what questions should someone ask to figure out if it is truly aligns with their purpose and their long-term career goals or
Sorry,
visions?
I caught you caught out in in the midst of it.
Okay, it's fine. So the question is, when evaluating a new opportunity, what questions should someone ask to figure out if it's truly aligned with their purpose and their long-term career vision?
Awesome. That's a really interesting question. I would also say that you are not changing, the world
Mm-hmm.
is also changing, right? So you're changing because the world is changing. But some of the questions you should ask is, does this role move me to the life I want? Is it a financial decision? Is it
Mm-hmm.
for me to have more time to spend with my family? What does the opportunity unlock for my long-term goals? And does this support the lifestyle, the financial freedom and impact I want by when, let's say, when I'm 45 or when I'm 50 and beyond? And depending on what you want in that job, you can also ask yourself, like, does this work energize me or drain me? Can I see myself waking up excited about this work? Does this type of challenge stretch me in a way that makes me feel meaningful? Is the impact aligned with my purpose? And if it's
Mm-hmm.
an organization, do the values of the organization match mine? So there are a lot of things that you can actually think. If growth is your main aim of changing, you can also ask yourself, does this role allow me to grow? Will I become stronger, wiser, or more capable? So you first of all need to understand, like I mentioned, the why you want to do this, the why you want to make this change. When you understand the reason why you want to make this change, that you can start drilling down into those other bits of getting the whys and different whys. There's always this saying that says, when you ask five whys, before you ask five whys in a question, you actually get to the root cause of everything, and that is true. So ask yourself, why do I even need to make this change? Okay, my organization is not this, or my career right now is going obsolete. Okay, why is my career going obsolete? Which career do I need to change into? Oh, there's the advent of AI has taken a lot of job. What skills, stuff like that. You start try to drill down in. It shouldn't be a decision you take in an instant. It's something that you should really, really sit down and think about.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Dre. And that takes me to we are wrapping up in the next
Mhm.
5 minutes. That takes me to this. So, how can someone effectively advocate for learning, coaching, and development opportunities within their workplace? Because I've seen people ask me, "Oh, they don't do all these things in my workplace. What do I need to do? I love to work there." So, how can they advocate for learning, coaching, or mentoring opportunities within their workplace?
I Like I always say, bring out the justification of it. What I normally do in most organizations that I've worked with is I would go out of my own way and research those courses and all of that, and I'll bring it to the management team that, hey, I noticed this, and I think that it's going to help our team develop A, B, C, D skills, right? Currently,
Mm-hmm.
we are lacking in this XYZ, and I think that our team might be able to benefit from these. And when you are coming, be sure that you understand your budget constraint, if there's any, and what the training or whatsoever is going to be, how impactful it is going to be. I currently just recommended a training for my organization, and they are happy about it because it is a one-stop fit all training for that would be impactful for the my team. And the way I went about it is, this is where we are right now, and the world is moving at a very exponential pace, and this is where we want to be, and we need to gain XYZ skill. I have done this research, and this is what I found out. This is the cost, and at the end of the training, this is how we are going to judge about the ROI and all of that. So you just need to be able to have those information armed. But if at the end of the day you're still working in an organization whereby they don't have the budget for it, then you also ask yourself, do you personally have the budget for it? If you
Yes,
do
please.
have the budget for it, then go ahead and do your training. It is yours. It is not going to be someone else. If you don't have the budget
Mm-hmm.
for it, there are free courses online that you can actually, you know, try to leverage on and also gain that skills. YouTube is there. You can learn a lot from YouTube, right? When I started making PowerPoint presentation, I actually learned my initial ones from YouTube before I, became better in it. So you can learn a lot from YouTube. And like I always say, ChatGPT, Copilot, and all of that teach us
Mm-hmm.
a lot nowadays. But you
Mm-hmm.
also need to validate whatever they're telling you by doing
Yes.
so just spend some time. Yeah.
Okay. This takes me to the last two questions or three questions. So, beyond promotion, job title, personally, how do you measure growth or prepare in your career?
For me, I would just give you a one liner is when I speak to my stakeholders and the satisfaction that they have. That is how
Yeah.
I measure my impact.
Yeah. Perfect. That answers the question because sometimes title sometimes is just a title. You just need to be able to ensure that you are making impact the right way, not about the position where you find yourself or by the virtue of the fact that you are the lead or you are the head of the department. Sometimes they are just titled, they are just promotions. But if they are not making an impact, there's no you can't measure the growth or your progress as an individual. So my second last question is: so looking back as an individual, what is one thing you wish you had done much earlier in your career that will have changed your path for the better?
Well, I would say I'm one of the fortunate few in the world. I really do not, I haven't really thought about any of those because I would also say that I am one of the fortunate few in the world. You won't see so many of me out there in terms of career trajectory, in terms of growth and meeting the right mentors and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing I think I would have done, it's not basically in my own career trajectory, is for me to be able to actually share my knowledge for other professionals. I I I focused more on developing myself, which is not a bad thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I should have at least, be more open to sharing my knowledge with other people, folks, peers, seniors, and all of that. That is the only thing I wish I I could change, but
Okay,
it is
that,
what it is.
that's fine. So I think maybe we'll pick this up sometimes back, and there'll be like a breakfast conversation around this because I've seen that is going to take me to the last question. which is
Yeah.
profound. I think it's like you are picking the last question for me, is that currently some people might feel they are behind, or they feel that they have lost time. How can they reset, rebuild, and take ownership of their career without feeling shame or trying to compare themselves with
Mhm.
others?
Is that your last question?
That's my last question.
Oh, okay. So I tend not to compare myself with people because
Mm-hmm.
some people start from, let's say, for example, you have let's say our career is 120-story building. Some people start from the basement, while
Mm-hmm.
others start from the 10th floor, while some
Mm-hmm.
start from the 15th floor, right? So you cannot compare yourself. Let's say you're starting from the basement, someone who started from the 15th floor and is already at the, let's say, 80th floor. You starting from the basement shouldn't be comparing yourself with someone that started on the 15th floor. What I'm trying to drive at is that some people are born privileged. Some people had opportunities earlier in life. Some people had to start from the scratch, right? Some people had accelerated um, careers and all of that. But it doesn't mean that you're doing terribly for where you are. Or
Mm-hmm.
you can also, if you are thinking that you're not doing so good, and look behind, look at other people that you're actually doing better than. I don't do
Mm-hmm.
that. I don't look at behind, I don't look forward. I just look like, hey, this is where I am. How am I, impacting the community that I am in? How am I impacting other people with this my current, role or career that I'm in right now? So looking at people above you, it's good. It makes you want to do more, but do you really have that capacity to be at that level at this particular point in time? That's another question you should have you ask yourself.
Mm.
Do you have those those starting points where they started from at that level? Let's a very simple example is, let's say, someone who graduated from Harvard University because they either had a scholarship or Harvard Business School because they either have a scholarship or they come from a very rich background, and compared to someone who attended a different school that is not so known, although they are both intelligent, but organizations will look at, which school did you attend, right, when they are
Yeah,
when they are
sometimes.
giving out employment. And me coming from a place whereby I didn't attend one of those fancy name schools, right,
Mm-hmm.
they will look at me and I wouldn't have that starting level, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all those things are things that you don't need to beat yourself over. And
Yeah.
I would wrap it up by saying that if you get to the top, or wherever position you find yourself, just pay it forward. If you're able
Period.
to build a bridge for you to get to where you are, don't destroy the bridge behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Allow
Mm-hmm.
other people to be able
Mm.
to use that bridge and get to where you are. That is my final
Thank,
words.
thank you sincerely, Dr. Oduri, for a wonderful time spent. I believe we'll be picking up this conversation sometimes soon. And I would say that from what he said, never compare yourself with people because your journey are different. That is where what I'm going to say. Understand your journey, career journey, and be aware, be self-aware that you are different from other people. You can't compare yourself with people. So instead, focus on where you are, rebuild, relearn, and learn a better way of doing things. Thank you so much for your time, for
Thank you
everyone
for
that
having me.
joined, and thank you so much for your time, Dr. Odiri, and have a wonderful day. And
You
thank you,
too.
everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.